The year is 2024, a year that many hoped would bring peace and progress, but instead it has brought more turmoil and strife. Once again, the world watches as Gaza and Israel are locked in a deadly embrace. The conflict, a tragic dance of destruction, continues to claim lives and shatter dreams. The streets, once bustling with life, are now scarred with the remnants of war. Buildings that once stood tall and proud are now reduced to rubble, a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. The air, thick with smoke and the stench of fear, tells a story of devastation. Each plume of smoke is a silent witness to the chaos that has engulfed this land. This is not just a conflict about land or politics, it's about human lives caught in the crosshairs. Innocent civilians who have no stake in the political games bear the brunt of the violence. For many, the conflict is a distant news report, a series of flashing images on a screen. It's easy to become desensitized to the suffering when it's just another headline. But for the people of Gaza and Israel, it's a terrifying reality. Every day is a struggle for survival, a fight to protect their loved ones from the ever-present danger. It's the constant fear of the next airstrike, the desperate search for safety, and the unbearable grief of losing loved ones. The emotional toll is immeasurable, leaving scars that may never heal. This is not the first time violence has erupted in this region, and sadly, it probably won't be the last. The cycle of violence seems unending, a tragic pattern that repeats itself over and over, but behind the headlines and the political rhetoric, there are human stories that demand to be heard, stories of resilience, of hope amidst despair, and of the unbreakable human spirit. Stories of ordinary people, mothers, fathers, children, trying to survive in the midst of chaos. This is their story, a story of endurance, of holding on to hope when everything seems lost, and of the relentless pursuit of peace in a world torn apart by conflict. In Gaza, the wail of sirens is a terrifying soundtrack to daily life. Families huddle together in fear as bombs rain down, their homes no longer sanctuaries but potential tombs. The streets are eerily deserted except for the hurried movements of those seeking refuge or tending to the wounded. The nights offer no respite. The darkness is punctuated by the terrifying flashes of explosions and the eerie silence that follows, a silence heavy with anticipation and dread. Sleep, when it comes, is fitful and haunted by nightmares. For the children of Gaza, the world has become a frightening and confusing place. Their childhoods have been stolen, replaced by the trauma of war. The sounds of explosions are their lullabies, the sight of destruction their playground. Yet even amidst the ruins, the human spirit endures. In the face of unimaginable loss and hardship, the people of Gaza cling to hope. They share what little food and water they have, offering comfort and support to their neighbors. There's a sense of community, a shared resilience that shines through the darkness. Strangers help strangers, sharing stories of loss and offering words of encouragement. There's a determination to survive, to rebuild, and to hope for a better future. The resilience of the human spirit is never more evident than in times of crisis. And in Gaza, even as bombs fall and buildings crumble, that spirit refuses to be extinguished. Section 4: International Echoes of Despair. The international community watches with a mixture of concern and frustration. The ongoing conflict between Gaza and Israel has captured the world's attention, with news outlets across the globe providing continuous updates. The images of destruction and the stories of human suffering have struck a chord with people everywhere. Condemnations are issued, pleas for peace are made, but the violence continues. World leaders hold press conferences expressing their dismay and calling for an end to the hostilities. Yet despite these appeals, the situation on the ground remains dire, with no immediate end in sight. The conflict has become a diplomatic quagmire, with no easy solutions in sight. The United Nations convenes emergency meetings and diplomats engage in intense negotiations, but the complexity of the issues at hand makes progress difficult. The historical grievances and deep-seated mistrust between the parties involved add layers of complication to the peace process. Some argue for stronger intervention, for a more forceful approach to end the bloodshed. There are calls for military action, with proponents believing that a decisive show of strength could bring about a resolution. However, this perspective is met with significant opposition. Others urge restraint, fearing that escalation will only lead to more suffering. Peace activists and analysts warn that increased military involvement could exacerbate the conflict, leading to greater loss of life and further destabilization of the region. They advocate for diplomatic solutions and humanitarian aid to alleviate the suffering. Meanwhile, the people of Gaza and Israel are left to navigate the brutal realities of war. Civilians on both sides endure daily hardships, from seeking shelter during bombings to coping with the loss of loved ones. The human cost of the conflict is immense, with countless lives disrupted and communities torn apart. The conflict has also exposed the deep divisions within the international community, with some nations offering unwavering support to one side while others condemn the actions of both. These differing stances are evident in international summits and debates where the lack of consensus hinders collective action. This lack of unity only serves to complicate the situation further, making a peaceful resolution even more elusive. The fragmented international response highlights the challenges of achieving a coordinated effort to address the conflict. As long as the global community remains divided, the path to peace will remain fraught with obstacles. Section 5. The crumbling healthcare system. The healthcare system in Gaza, already strained by years of conflict and blockade, is on the verge of collapse. Hospitals are overwhelmed with casualties, many of them women and children. Medical supplies are running dangerously low, and there's a desperate shortage of doctors and nurses. The constant bombardment has made it incredibly dangerous for medical personnel to reach those in need. Ambulances are frequently caught in the crossfire, and hospitals themselves have become targets. The injured often have to wait for hours to receive even basic medical attention. The situation is dire, and without immediate international assistance, the healthcare system in Gaza faces complete collapse. The consequences for the civilian population will be catastrophic. Section 6. Scars that run deep. The physical wounds of war are easy to see: the destroyed buildings, the injured bodies. These visible signs of conflict are stark reminders of the violence that has taken place. The shattered infrastructure and the injured individuals tell a story of devastation and loss, but the psychological scars run much deeper and will take much longer to heal. These invisible wounds are often overlooked, yet they are just as debilitating, if not more so, than the physical injuries. The trauma of war can linger in the mind, affecting every aspect of a person's life. The constant fear, the loss of loved ones, the destruction of homes and communities, these experiences leave invisible wounds that can haunt survivors for years to come. The emotional pain of losing family members, the anxiety of living in a war zone, and the grief of seeing one's home reduced to rubble are profound and long-lasting. Children in particular are vulnerable to the trauma of war. Their young minds are still developing, and the horrors they witness can have a lasting impact on their mental health. The innocence of childhood is shattered by the violence and chaos around them. Many experience nightmares, flashbacks, and anxiety. These symptoms can disrupt their daily lives, making it difficult for them to feel safe and secure. The psychological impact of war can manifest in various ways, from sleep disturbances to constant fear and hypervigilance. They may withdraw from others, struggle in school, or exhibit aggressive behavior. These behavioral changes are often a cry for help, a way for children to express the turmoil they feel inside. The trauma can affect their ability to form relationships, succeed academically, and develop into healthy adults. The long-term impact on their mental and emotional well-being can be devastating. Without proper support and intervention, these children may carry the scars of war into adulthood, affecting their future prospects and quality of life. The international community must not only address the immediate humanitarian crisis, but also provide long-term support for mental health services in both Gaza and Israel. This includes funding for counseling, therapy, and community programs that can help individuals heal and rebuild their lives. Healing the psychological wounds of war is essential for building a lasting peace. It requires a commitment to addressing the root causes of conflict and investing in the mental health and well-being of those